Welcome to Glue Workflow 101. So workflow is used for orchestration. You use the workflow when you want to orchestrate the triggers. So trigger can work on the stand alone, but with the workflow you can easily orchestrate all the triggers. As for example, you have a complex ETL which requires two job and two crawlers to run. In that case, the workflow can be beneficial. So this is the visual representation of the workflow which just completed, and I went to the history of the workflow and then this is what I got. So if you see this workflow, you can easily check the status of the each part of the workflow. So what happened to glue job and the crawler? So it says all the job and the crawler ran successfully. If there was something failure, you could have seen any of the other symbols and you could have easily figured out that something failed in this workflow, and because of that reason the workflow failed. So it manages the monitoring and execution of the each crawler and job in the workflow. And top of that, it also records the execution progress and details. So your complex ETL, which contains 4 triggers and 4 crawlers, if you want to know how much time it took to complete the whole ETL process, you can come to the workflow and you can check the whole workflow execution time, and you should be able to figure out that it took this much amount of time. With the individual triggers, that's not possible because you have to go and check for the triggers, and then you will need to go and check at the job level to see how much time each job took. So workflow is useful in those sort of orchestration where you can use the workflow to check the status, and you can easily rerun the workflow from where you want to run. You can stop the workflow at any point of time and you can resume. So that's where the workflow is useful. So let's go ahead and create the workflow in AWS Glue console. So let's open the AWS Glue. In the AWS Glue, click on workflows. There's already one workflow created which we'll be creating as part of your glue job too. So now we'll go and create a new workflow. So click on add workflow and give the name of the workflow as workflow 101. We don't need to provide any description, no need to provide any properties. We'll just say add workflow. So the workflow has been created. So it's just the name of the workflow over here. Now what we're going to do, we are going to add the triggers which we just created in the last lecture, schedule 101 and event trigger 101. So when you come to the workflow, you can add trigger and it will give you all the triggers which you want. So we'll add the schedule 101 trigger, and that trigger is added into this workflow. Now we'll go and we'll add the another trigger which is our event job trigger 101. So in this lecture, we created the workflow 101 using our schedule trigger and the event job trigger. Thank you very much for watching this video.